How do the Geneva Conventions define international armed conflict? Imagine a world where countries clash not just with words but with armies and weapons. How do we tell when a conflict between nations becomes a situation the law must step in? That's where the Geneva Conventions come into play. These treaties set the rules for how nations treat each other during war. They help protect civilians, prisoners, and the wounded. But how do they decide when a conflict is considered an international armed conflict? That's what we're here to find out. The Geneva Conventions define an international armed conflict as any fighting between two or more states. It doesn't matter if the war is officially declared or not. If there are hostilities happening between countries that have signed the treaties, the law applies. This includes traditional wars, where armies fight openly, and also situations like occupation. If one country takes control of part or all of another country's territory, that counts as an international armed conflict. Even if the occupying country does not face armed resistance, the conflict still exists under the law. Wars of national liberation also fall under this definition. These are conflicts where people fight against colonial powers, foreign occupation, or racist regimes. The first additional protocol to the Geneva Conventions recognizes these struggles as international conflicts when they involve fighting for independence or self-determination. Once hostilities start between states, the Geneva Conventions automatically apply. There's no need for a formal declaration of war. The law kicks in as soon as fighting begins. This means protections for civilians, wounded soldiers, prisoners of war, and those not taking part in the fighting. The term armed conflict is used instead of war to focus on the actual situation on the ground. It's about the presence of violence and hostility, not whether a country officially calls it a war. The level of violence needed to trigger the Geneva Conventions can be quite low. Even small hostile acts between countries can activate the protections. When one country uses military force, whether through combat, occupation, or hostile acts, it is considered an international armed conflict. The law then ensures that everyone involved follows rules designed to reduce suffering and protect those who are not fighting. In short, the Geneva Conventions see an international armed conflict as any situation where countries are fighting or occupying each other's territory. It doesn't matter if they call it a war or if it's officially recognized. The key is the reality of hostilities happening on the ground. When that happens, the protections of the Geneva Conventions are automatically in effect, guiding how nations must behave and treat those caught in the conflict.